Okay, let's dive straight into this explainer. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're putting you directly in the shoes of a cybercriminal. We'll examine, step by step, how innocent, highly technical curiosity gradually escalates into becoming an accessory to fatal cybercrime. This isn't just about code, right? It's about the psychology of crossing lines you swore you'd never, ever cross. Picture this. You start your journey at 14 years old. You're up at 11 p.m., glued to YouTube videos. And you're not learning how to steal passwords or break into systems. No, you're learning about how Wi-Fi radio waves actually work. You treat the math and these invisible data streams like a fascinating, giant puzzle. You just want to understand how things fit together at a fundamental level. But well, your curiosity is about to take you much, much further than your average teenager.
Act 1. The Spark of Curiosity.
So we begin your journey with the rapid ascent of your technical skills. Over just 4 short years, your capabilities absolutely explode. I mean, you evolve from sitting at your desk pointing automated tools at your neighbor's Wi-Fi network to breaching your underfunded, understaffed school's network in literally 20 minutes. And you don't stop there. You keep pushing, teaching yourself Python, C, and even assembly language, which honestly almost breaks your brain, all just so you can find real vulnerabilities in complex systems. And that brings us to Kali Linux. At 14, you download this free operating system built specifically for security testing. But unlike most people who just want to play around, you don't just start clicking randomly. You spend 3 solid weeks doing nothing but learning the purpose of every single pre-installed tool in this OS before you ever use them to build or break anything. You learn them meticulously. Then, when you hit 16, you confront the whole concept of a script kiddie. You realize you've been using tools built by other people without fully understanding the underlying code. In the hacking community, this is the absolute lowest tier. It's looked down upon as amateurish and, frankly, dangerous. That harsh realization is the exact catalyst that pushes you to stop just running automated scripts and actually learn the deep, fundamental mechanics of hacking. Fast forward a bit. By the time you're 18, you're operating in a massive legal and ethical gray area. You legitimately earn $800 from corporate bug bounty programs for officially reporting 3 vulnerabilities you found. Awesome, right? Yet, sometimes you find exposed APIs and misconfigured servers. And you don't report them. You tell yourself that just looking through these digital windows is a victimless act, completely ignoring the fact that you have absolutely zero permission to be there.
Act 2. Crossing the line.
Let's see how this all builds into crossing a definitive moral boundary that you can literally never uncross. At 19, you decide to download the Tor browser. Now, Tor is a completely neutral technology, right? It routes traffic through multiple encrypted relays globally, making the connection nearly impossible to trace. It's used by journalists and privacy advocates everywhere. But you use it to enter the dark web. And what you find aren't those chaotic movie-style hacker boards. No, you find highly structured professional marketplaces with reputation scores, escrow services, and real estate-like listings for corporate network access. You find yourself evaluating your own skills against 2 distinct paths. On one hand, you know you have the talent to be a legitimate security researcher. But on these forums, you see marketplace vendors selling corporate access for massive, massive profits. So, when someone posts a request asking for a penetration tester for a quote-unquote security audit, paying strictly in Bitcoin and demanding serious inquiries only, you take the job. Now, the crucial point here is how you justify this to yourself. You start using these incredibly thin rationalizations. You tell yourself you don't know who the client is or what they want. You literally say, I'm just a technical service, like a locksmith. If I didn't do it, someone else would. These are the specific lies you use to sleep at night once you've officially crossed from innocent research into being an active criminal accessory. You're now 20 years old, and you spend 3 weeks executing a very calculated professional methodology. You run recon on a mid-sized logistics company, craft a perfect phishing email to an accounts payable employee, move laterally and quietly through their network to gain full permissions, and finally, document and hand over the credentials to your anonymous dark web client. In return, you get $5,000 in Bitcoin. It's real money, and it suddenly changes things. The very anonymity that protects you ensures you never actually see what happens to that logistics company after you hand over the keys. You have no idea what they did with your access. You just tell yourself it was a one-time thing, a single lapse in judgment.
Act 3. The Ransomware Syndicate.
You told yourself it was just once, but exactly 6 weeks later, your remarkably clean methodology pulls you straight into the big leagues of cybercrime. You are recruited into a loose, encrypted network of criminals where the division of labor is highly specialized. Your role, strictly initial access. Other members handle the deployment, the actual encryption, the ransom negotiation, and the payment processing. And your first target for them, exploiting a known vulnerability in an unpatched VPN appliance for a Midwest hospital network. Again, you justify it. You claim that because you're just the door opener, you have limited responsibility. You tell yourself, hey, I don't encrypt the files, I don't demand the money, I don't pick the targets. But 3 days after you hand over the access, that entire hospital is locked out of critical patient care systems, medication histories, and scheduling operations. The hospital is completely paralyzed. They end up negotiating a $1 million ransom down to $800,000. At 22 years old, your pre-agreed 10% cut nets you $80,000 in Bitcoin, you buy a new laptop, you move to a much nicer apartment, and you engage in a whole lot of forced ignorance, telling yourself that, well, hospitals have insurance and they really should have patched their systems anyway, right? Act 4. Consequences and the heat. The reality of the immense destruction you've quietly unleashed is waiting, and it is about to catch up with you. You're 23, and you stumble across a journalist's piece detailing that hospital attack. The article describes a patient who came into the emergency room during the outage. Because of a delay in accessing the patient's medication history from the locked systems, there was a fatal drug interaction. The patient died. Now, the hospital denies the delay was the determining factor, but the family firmly believes it was. It's this agonizing, unresolvable ambiguity, meaning your access might be directly responsible for a human death. Then, at 24, the heat finally arrives. 2 members of your syndicate are arrested in Bucharest by Europol and the FBI. An encrypted message warns you to go dark immediately. You execute rapid panic measures, wiping all your hard drives, moving to a new apartment, entirely changing your operational security procedures, and paying for absolutely everything exclusively in cash for months. You get a massively overqualified, legitimate IT job fixing passwords and unjamming printers just to blend in and hide in plain sight. For 6 agonizing months, you sit in total informational isolation. You have absolutely no idea what those arrested members told investigators, or if your digital handle is currently sitting in a growing federal case file. The suspense is just terrifying. Act 5. The ultimate choice. That suffocating suspense finally breaks on a random Tuesday morning when 2 federal agents knock on your door. Across a table, the FBI outlines your exact involvement with the hospital. But instead of immediate prosecution, they offer you a very different kind of entanglement. You are not currently under arrest. They want to leverage your elite insider skills to defend against ransomware and help them map dark web infrastructure. If you cooperate, your case file stays pending. You take the deal. By age 30, you've survived a grueling period of FBI cooperation spanning 4 years and 11 separate investigations. You now work legitimately in cybersecurity, finding and closing the exact types of vulnerabilities you use to exploit for profit. But here's the thing. The dark web is still running. The forums are still active. Right now, a 19-year-old is looking at those exact same job postings, telling themselves they're just looking and won't touch anything. The door to this world always looks much smaller from the outside, and there's absolutely no handle on the inside once you walk through. So, I leave you with this to ponder. How far down the rabbit hole would your curiosity take you? Where exactly is your line?